Saturday morning programming continues. 1071 WTJN, brought to you by Outlook Financial Center. Time now, we sit down and speak with Mayor Michael Beamish and the Mayor's Report.
And we are here, and we have a lot to share today, as we always do, Clint and David and all the people out there that are listening to this broadcast.
Now, I thought once we got past Labor Day, things slowed down, but there's still a lot going on.
We got a lot going on this weekend, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But, hey, can I go back to last Labor Day weekend? Because, you know, we had, and I keep saying this every time we have the Troy Civic Band perform. They did Lights, Camera, Action. And Bill McIntosh and Kathy McIntosh are the co-directors. They both performed and directed. But I got to tell people, they have the home of the Troy Civic Band at Treasure Island Amphitheater. And
beautiful location.
Beautiful location. And the acoustics are wonderful for the sound. The view is beautiful. It's an opportunity for people to come down and see our local professionals perform. And we had a nice crowd for a very hot and humid evening. I want to say that, so I thank everybody for turning out for that performance. But that was the last one for this season. They'll start over in the spring and go through the Labor Day with concerts in the future. But I do encourage everybody to mark their calendars whenever they see the Troy Civic Band performing and come out. It's a nice terrace look. Sound is great. And I always enjoy cheerleading for the Troy Civic Band because of the way they perform.
And so, not only that, but they're also our friends and neighbors.
Absolutely. They're the people you see a lot walking down the streets and shopping. And the McIntoshes have long been involved in certainly the Troy High School Band, but in many different performance activities around the community. So it's great.
Okay. Hey, let's talk about the UD River Stewards. Now, what's going on with them? They're in town.
They're in town today. We hope. You know, when this program's being aired, we don't know what the weather forecast is. Well, we do kind of know the forecast, but we don't know what the opportunities will be for the UD, and that's the University of Dayton River Stewards. So these are young people in college who have different walks of life and professional disciplines that they're taking at UD, but they all have one thing in common. They love the river, they love the environment, and they want to protect that. So they are a group, elective group they call themselves the River Stewards. And they are in Troy. They have been in Troy in the past. But today, they were to unveil the shoal water tents that are created by our own Ethan Smith from Smithfly.
Oh, okay.
And we were going to put them on the river. Hopefully we could do this. And then they were going to camp out at Treasure Island Park on Saturday night. This is all weather related, so we have to be careful. We don't want to, certainly put anybody in unsafe territory. So, but they are, I'm sure they're going to be here today, and we'll be meet and greeting them, and they have a lot of activities planned using the river here in Troy, Ohio.
With all the rain they got up north, and with our rain over the weekend, you might wake up down in Dayton if you camped out on the river.
Well, that's our worry, and certainly but the River Stewards are brave souls, and they love the river. So I'm sure they'll be in Troy. Whether they're able to do what they want to do is up in the air, so to speak.
Now, I also saw Smithfly has their, like a floating fire pit that goes with
That's
the
going
tent.
with it. It's going to be a great scene, even just to come out and see what can happen on the river in creative ways. And yes, fire pit, a tent that floats, and this is all done with the creation of Ethan Smith, who's a local resident, has his own business here in Troy, and he's very, very creative and very supportive of our community in our river.
Well, it makes sense since we're getting back to the Great Miami River.
That's
to
right.
have Smith fly and to have those interests moved to the river.
That's right, and so hopefully we'll have a nice activity today on this Saturday, but we've got the other things going on Sunday as well.
Well, speaking of Labor Day and the holiday last weekend, that put council off a day, so you had council on Tuesday.
Yeah, we did have council on Tuesday. Not a whole lot on the agenda. We did have a public hearing to do the downtown riverfront overlay district application for the Troy Hayner Cultural Center. They want to do some things. Of course, we all know the Troy Hayner Cultural Center does great things for the community. And we had a public hearing because they want to do some different kinds of things, and they really would like to participate in a downtown riverfront overlay district. The public hearing produced no comments, pro or con, so it will move on to a council committee and then on to full council at a later date. But that was one of our ordinances that moved on to which would be a third reading based on the public hearing and the future council subcommittee meeting. But we did have what is become annually, and there were 7 members of council at present, so they accepted the tax levies for the Troy School District and the Miami East School District as an emergency legislation because it has to go to the Budget Committee, County Budget Committee by October, so that passed 7-0, and that was a resolution. And then we did have another ordinance that was declaring vehicles and equipment as surplus and authorizing for the sale and declaring the fire department gear and equipment as surplus and allowing for a donation to give to others. And that passed, obviously, 7-0, and they moved forward with that. And that basically was a quick meeting for a day after normal.
A holiday,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Now, you spoke that we've got more things coming up. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, we have the Freedom Climb.
Absolutely. It'll be our second annual Troy Memorial Freedom Climb. And again, this is a memorial ceremony that features or discusses the 9/11, and we hate to talk about 9/11, but if we talk about it as an observance and a memorial, if people want to participate, we have proceeds that go to the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial. It'll also include donations to the Troy Police Auxiliary and the Troy Fire Department, so it stays for the reason of 9/11, but also stays local as well. We invite family and friends to come and participate. If they walk up and down the steps of Troy Memorial Stadium 64 times, it will represent the World Trade Center's steps up. If you're not inclined to go up and down the steps of Troy Memorial,
that's tough
which
on
is
the
me.
knees. It's tough on the knees.
And then you can walk 4 times around the track, and that will equal the same amount of steps that would be taken. It's a great thing. I give Joe Stutz a lot of credit. He believed in this. He started this, and it's now at the second annual, and that will take place on September 9th, which is tomorrow, Sunday. And check-in will be at 12:30. We'll have an opening ceremony around 1:30, and then we'll kick it real off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, you may notice there'll be a lot more flags in the stadium as they use those flags as a patriotic symbol of the observance. But if you look beyond the stadium to the levee, you will also notice there will be over 100 American flags that will be lining the levee for the Walk of Remembrance. And these are both sponsored by the Optimist Club, Noon Optimist Club here in Troy. And so, it just shows that community patriotism and spirit as you see all the patriotism on the levee and in the stadium this weekend.
It is a beautiful sight with all those flags along the levee.
I think it really is a great look, and it also symbolizes a lot of the observance of 9/11.
Yes.
But also, it can also be a remembrance of all those fallen, not only for the during the 9/11, but have passed on during this past current year.
Oh, right. Now, what other things do we have in our future?
Well,
Look
we
into
do
your
have a
crystal
couple
ball.
things. Look in the crystal ball. On Saturday, September the 15th, we will also, and we'll talk more about this, but the Walk to End Alzheimer's will be scheduled. It'll start at the courthouse area. And there'll be different exhibits dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. But then the walk takes place. Again, proceeds there go to awareness and research. And that's something that I hope people will participate in, because it seems like Alzheimer's touches just about every family in some way, shape, and so I hope everybody will get out, support that particular event. Also coming up, the Pink Ribbon Girls are going to have an activity on October 17th. Last year, I think they raised close to $40,000, and this year they want to increase that. It'll be... maybe I said October 17th. I think it's October 19th. It'll be starting in downtown Troy. There'll be a 5K walk run. And it's just one of those opportunities for us to certainly support the Pink Ribbon Girls movement for cancer awareness. And also, while we're talking about that, the 36th Annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast Gathering will take place on October 13th, just prior to. That's a Saturday as well. And the keynote speaker, I want people to know this, is Heather Salazar. And she is the CEO and president of the Pink Ribbon Girls Movement.
Okay.
And so she will be the featured speaker at the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. And that'll be held at downtown, which I'm very happy, our living room of our community, at the First Presbyterian Church, October 13th. That'll be from 9 o'clock to 10:30. And tickets are $5, and that covers the cost of the breakfast. And the speaker, obviously, is somebody I think people would like to hear her story, and it's wonderful. And I want to start promoting that for the future, because both of those events take place in downtown Troy.
Okay. Is that what you've got for us here this morning?
I think that...
that was quite a lot.
Well, it was. And let's just... hope that the weather cooperates for all the events we have coming up, including today's events.
Well, at least it's kind of warm weather, bad weather, versus what I'm sure we have coming for us in a few months, which will be cold weather and snow.
But we will be talking about, the grand illumination ceremony. That's always a real exciting event that takes place the day after Thanksgiving. So you might want to circle that on your calendar as well.
Okay, Mayor. Thank you so much. This has been the Mayor's Report with Mayor Michael Beamish. I'm Clint Myers on 107.1.